So RFK Jr. has suspended his campaign and endorsed Trump, and MAGA is flexing over this. They're so excited. They honestly think that this kills all the momentum Kamala Harris had. They honestly think that this takes away all the energy from the DNC, and they think it just hands it all to Donald Trump. It's not the flex they think it is, and we're going to show their hypocrisy as we go forward in this video. But this entire time, we have been calling them weird, and what do? They go out and get the biggest weirdo they can find to endorse Trump, and then walk him out on stage, and they all flex, and they honestly believe that this is a game changer, that they got a guy even more weird, that they've now tripled down on their weirdness. J.D. Vance wasn't weird enough. They had to go get the supreme weirdo, bring him on board, and now they think they've got this thing in a bag. And RFK Jr. goes out in this press conference and plays one of Trump's favorite hits, which is, the government is rigged against me, the system is rigged against me, and the media is being unfair to me. He played those same hits. And he tried to paint this picture that the Democrats are the ones coming after democracy, and the Democrats are the ones who unjustly pushed him out. RFK Jr. is so delusional, he actually thinks that he could have beaten Biden or Harris in a race. He really believes that Democrats would have went for him. He thinks that the Democratic Party is not the same as the party of his father and his uncle. But what we would argue is that he left the Democratic Party years ago when he embraced all these batshit insane conspiracy theories. We would argue, and so would the entire Kennedy family, by the way, that he is nothing like his father or his uncle at all. So as we go forward here, we're going to talk more about that. But we're going to start right here at the point in the press conference where he says he's suspending the campaign, but see if you can make any sense out of this gibberish.
I want everyone to know that I am not terminating my campaign. I am simply suspending it and not ending it. My name will remain on the ballot in most states. If you live in a blue state, you can vote for me without harming or helping President Trump or Vice President Harris. In red states, the same will apply. I encourage you to vote for me. And if enough of you do vote for me, and neither of the major party candidates win 270 votes, which is quite possible. In fact, today our polling shows them tying at 269 to 269. And I could conceivably still end up in the White House in a contingent election. But in about 10 battleground states where my presence would be a spoiler, I'm going to remove my name. And I've already started that process and urge voters not to vote for me.
So let me see if I got this right. The system is completely rigged against him, and he had no shot of winning. He realized the system had beat him and that he couldn't get around the system. So he's going to suspend his campaign, but you can still vote for him. He's going to take his name off the ballots in swing states that matter, but you can still vote for him in the other states, and he still sees a path to victory that way. He still thinks he can win if you vote for him, but he's not going to be on the ballot in the crucial states that a president would need. Folks, there is no world in which any of that makes sense. But what he's really doing here is he's playing another classic Trump hit, which is give yourself an out. He's throwing his support behind Donald Trump, but he's staying on the ballot in certain states. That way, when all this crashes and burns, he can say, see, I was trying to fight both sides. I was trying to take it to the Democrats and Republicans, and both sides were mean to me. It's always going to be that he's the victim in the story. That's the way this guy loves to play, and that's exactly what Trump loves to do. He loves to always be the victim. MAGA has become the party of victimhood. But now we're going to play a series of clips. It's pretty damn funny, because here's Trump right before RFK endorsed him, talking about how, oh yes, I would absolutely love to have RFK Jr.'s endorsement.
Jr. is getting ready to endorse you. What does he bring to you? What have your conversations been like? What role would he have either with your campaign or in your administration?
Well, I don't want to get too much into it because you're telling me something I don't know, other than I've always been friendly with him. I've had a lot of respect for him. I think he respects me. We've had a good relationship for a long time. If he were going to endorse me, I would consider it a great honor. I think we're leading now in the polls. We're leading in the swing states. We're leading in the polls. A couple of great polls came out just now. But I would love to have his endorsement. That'd be a great honor.
So yeah, he would absolutely love to have his endorsement. He would be honored. But just a couple of months ago, he was saying this.
RFK Jr. is a Democrat plant, a radical left liberal who's been put in place in order to help crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of the United States, get reelected. A lot of people think that Jr. is a conservative. He's not. He's more liberal than anybody running on the Democrat side. A vote for Jr. would essentially be a wasted protest vote that could swing either way, but would only swing against the Democrats if Republicans knew the true story about him. Jr. is totally anti-gun, an extreme environmentalist who makes the Green New scammers look very conservative by comparison. A big-time taxer, he wants to tax you. An open border advocate. He wants those borders to be wide open for more people to come in from prisons and mental institutions. And he's anti-military and he's anti-vet. He's an extreme liberal. He's radical left.
Okay, so we talk a whole lot about the hoops and the mental gymnastics games that MAGA is capable of jumping through. So let's make this make sense. He comes out and says that about RFK Jr., and they all cheer. They all say that RFK Jr. is a plant, that he's the radical liberal. Trump's telling the truth. Trump knows all about RFK Jr. Trump ain't got nothing to do with RFK Jr. And then he brings Jr. out on stage at the rally, and the crowd goes wild. They all love him now. Do you see why that none of us can take you all seriously about anything? Do you see why that we say and point out on a daily basis that there's no consistency? Now, the funny part was he brought him out on stage to the song Hero by the Foo Fighters, and the Foo Fighters immediately came out and said, we did not give him permission to use that song. What is so funny is that when Trump digs into music catalogs and tries to use it, most decent artists do not embrace that kind of crap. The only kind of stuff he could really use is like Lee Greenwood, Kid Rock, and Ted Nugent. I mean, that's what he's got to pull from, because when he pulls from anything else, people comes out and says, hey, we don't want our music associated with you. So he brings him out on stage to the song Hero. The crowd goes wild now. Now they love him, even though just a few months ago he was a radical plant. I mean, you can't make this shit up. And then he says that he's going to have Bobby. Now he's Bobby. Before he was just Junior. Remember, he was just, Junior's a radical left, but now he's Bobby. It's all, my good buddy Bobby here is going to be working with experts on health. Yeah, I'm not making this up. Roll the clip.
That's why today I'm repeating my pledge to establish a panel of top experts working with Bobby to investigate what is causing the decades-long increase in chronic health problems and childhood diseases, including autoimmune disorders, autism, obesity, infertility, and many more. We want every child in America to grow up and to live a long and healthy life.
There is no reasonable, moderate voter out there who would want RFK Jr. anywhere near making decisions about our health. No one in their right mind would want that, and I'm going to show you some clips to show you just how crazy this guy is and why that Democrats gave up on him a long time ago. This idea that we liked him or he was one of us, that is not the case at all. That's just a narrative that MAGA is trying to spin. Now, I almost didn't play you these clips because I'm the type of person that don't even want to give someone like this a voice. It's like I don't even want to platform it. You know what I mean? But for this video and for the purposes of education only here, and because there are people in my part of the world who may entertain RFK Jr. or may now start to warm back up to Trump, well, Trump's with RFK Jr. now, so maybe it won't be so bad. I want you guys to understand who RFK Jr. truly is. This guy actually compared the COVID-19 vaccines to the camps in Nazi Germany, and here it is.
The Nazis did that in the camps. In World War II, they tested vaccines on gypsies and Jews. And the world was so horrified after the war, we signed the Nuremberg Charter. And we all pledged when we do that, we would never again impose unwanted medical interventions on human beings without informed consent. And yet in 2 years, all of that conviction has suddenly disappeared. And people are walking around in masks where the science has not been explained to them. They are doing what they're told. They are these government agencies are orchestrating obedience. It is not democratic. It's not the product of democracy.
Folks, I will always believe that that type of rhetoric and that type of attitude is why we ended up in the mess that we were in. The misinformation that they spread and the seeds of distrust that they sowed in medicine and in science, I believe is what cost us. I'm of the opinion that that's what cost us so many American lives. It's such a sore spot for me. These type of people are such a sore spot for me because I lost 2 family members I love. I know you guys have lost plenty of them too who would buy into that thing. Because people out there, a whole lot of people lives in fear. People like RFK Jr. will capitalize on that and stoke the flames of their fear and then tell them, you shouldn't even listen to your doctor. RFK Jr. said you should take control of your own self. And again, I'm just showing you this to show you what kind of guy this man is.
I had to say this, but you cannot trust medical advice from medical professionals. That doesn't mean that you don't have a great doctor that you should listen to, but you need to take control of your own health care, and you need to question everything.
So yeah, if you got a good doctor, listen to him, but you really can't trust any of them, and you have to take control of yourself. Do you know how many people will hear a statement like that and then absolutely refuse to do anything their doctor says? I have had family members who we have sat and said to them, hey, you really need to take this blood pressure medicine. Your blood pressure is through the roof. Well, I don't trust them doctors. Well, then go get a second opinion. Talk to someone else. They'll get a second opinion, a third opinion, a fourth opinion, and everyone will say, who's an expert in their field, hey, you've got high blood pressure. You should really take this medication. Nope, I don't trust them old doctors because RFK Jr. told me not to. But they'll run into somebody at the dollar store. This kills me. They'll run into somebody down the store. Hey, they're telling me that their brother got a pain in his chest and that's what it is. It's so cringe to me. And it just gets under my skin so bad that people like this just goes out there and throws anything at the wall. And then people listens to it and ends up, in a bad shape because they listen to it. I'm going to play you one more clip to show you just what kind of guy RFK Jr. is. Here he is pushing HIV/AIDS denialism and blaming it on the gay lifestyle and blaming it on drugs. And no, I'm not making it up. I wished I was.
Tony Fauci won a power struggle with Brando. And he said, this is an infectious disease. We've proven it. With Bob Gallo proved this is being caused by a virus. There's a lot of people that said it's not a virus. The virus is a passenger virus. And these people are dying mainly because of poppers. 100% of the people who died in the first 1,000 who had AIDS were people who were addicted to poppers, which are known to cause Kaposi sarcoma in rats. And they were people who were part of a gay lifestyle where they were burning the candle at both ends, and they were taking a lot of injectable drugs and methadone, and there were poppers on sale everywhere at the gay bars. I remember growing up in that era. In the gay bars, they would be last call for poppers and last call for alcohol at 2 a.m. And all the gay bath houses sold poppers, and it became a ubiquitous. And there were a number of people in the agency who said, this is not a viral disease.
So yeah, folks, that's the guy that Donald Trump wants to put in charge of health. He wants him studying health, and he wants him making decisions on what kind of medicines our children should be taking. That guy. But Fox News came out. Jesse Waters kind of let the truth drop here. Pretty funny because he says, yeah, Trump would pretty much dangle anything in front of someone's face for an endorsement. He actually says it. Take a look.
I don't know if he's going to get a cabinet position. Knowing Trump, he may dangle something and then never give it, or give him something and, Trump likes the action. That could be interesting to see RFK Jr. in a Trump administration. But Harrison...
So yeah, even Fox News sees through Donald Trump. Jesse Waters' mother is ashamed of him, by the way. I'm sure when he goes home for dinner, he's like, Mom, I don't really mean this stuff. They're just paying me really good to say it. Even he knows deep down that Trump will just dangle anything in front of someone's face for an endorsement. And he will do anything to distract and muddy the water. And that's what this is all about. Bill Clinton said at the DNC, they're going to try to distract and they're going to try to divide. Pay close attention. Don't take your eye off the ball. And that's what we got to do. This is just more distraction from Trump. And they think it's a flex. But we see through it. We see RFK out there playing the MAGA hits, that the government's against him, the media's against him, the system is rigged against him. He can't win because the system isn't fair. Everything is always someone else's fault in their world, and they will eat each other alive when this is all over. If you think for 1 second that Trump won't flip back and immediately hate RFK Jr. or vice versa, then you're not really paying attention to what kind of people these truly are. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist either, but if I was going to make my guess, I would say that RFK Jr. was probably a plant from Trump this entire time to try to sow trust and division in the Democratic Party. And when he tried to reach out to Kamala Harris, she didn't want to talk to him. And what's funny is people's like, man, did you hear that? Kamala wouldn't even talk to him. Well, get this. I was solidly behind Kamala Harris, okay? I'm already going to vote for her. I've already made up my mind a long time ago. Actually, before she even became the nominee or Joe Biden dropped out, I knew I wasn't voting for Trump. I knew I was voting for the Democratic nominee. So I was already Team Harris before this thing even got started. But if I had one little shredded out, just one, and I was going, I don't know. I don't know if she's the right one or not. And someone said, hey, she wouldn't take a phone call from RFK Jr., I'd say, okay, good, I'm all in. I'm good. If she wouldn't entertain that kind of lunacy, then me and her's good. And again, I showed you those clips of what he said about these things, not to platform him, but to show you what kind of person this is. Because I truly do believe that a lot of people in my part of the world, I've seen it happen. They will say things like, well, I kind of like that RFK Jr. And I feel like they only say it because they don't want to get in an argument one way or the other. They know Trump ain't popular, and deep down they see through him, so they don't really want to go there because they know if they go there, then they're going to have to defend his racism and his homophobia and his bigotry and his cruelty and his hatred and his mockery of everyone and everything we ever held sacred. They realize they're going to have to try to defend his hypocrisy, so they don't want to do that. And then they're too scared to be for the Democrats in this part of the world because Republicans have done such a good job of painting us all as demons. So they just try to go, well, maybe I'll just say RFK Jr. That way I really don't have to take a beating from either side. You see what I'm saying? I truly believe that because once you start telling them what RFK Jr. is about, then they start going, well, I didn't know about that. In other words, I was just trying to say this to play the middle of the road so I didn't have an argument. But you can't do that when it comes to politics. You can't. You can't sit there and you can't sit on the fence. I'm sorry. I don't understand how moderates and independents do it, but you can't sit on the fence, especially in this election. You have to pick a side and get on it. And you're either on the side of democracy and freedom and living to vote another day, or you're for an authoritarian dictator with the weirdest cabinet that we've ever seen.